So welcome back to the boot room and well, I guess video 3-ish of the battle to grab the wagon, this sharp practice game that you guys have been helping out in terms of instructions for what the British should do in the game. And it's a nail biter, so much so I've completely lost track of what turn it is, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's something around 12, something like that. I was looking back at when I edited the last one, and even then I still wasn't entirely sure what turn it was. So it doesn't matter. So quick update for those who haven't seen the earlier ones, but if you have, go back and have a look at those first, I would suggest. I'll try and put some links in the description. So quick update. We had a British force trying to grab a supply wagon, supply convoy, which is over there in the very, very shiny corner there in the bridge. Had to grab that before it gets into the compound. And if you can see there, I don't know how many inches that is, but it's very, very close to being into the compound. The covering forces have done a reasonable job of protecting the wagon. So you can see the French major with his line troops in line there, trying to hold off the rifles and also these Portuguese cavalry. Portuguese cavalry had a little set to with the French Voltigeurs. They came off best, but both sides are somewhat knackered and also have no, they're both their leaders are level 0 leaders, which makes command and control a little bit tricky. You've got the British riflemen here. You've got Major Blunt with his riflemen here. You've got the man of the match, Sergeant Little, Peter Little, with his 2 men who successfully saw off a unit of Voltigeurs. And you've got Captain Roy here, who last turn delivered a devastating volley at close range into that building, and even though all the defenders were in cover, managed to shoot away a group of French conscripts. The buildings have now been reoccupied by a group of Voltigeurs, and there also is a cannon coming up behind another group of conscripts to bar the way. So I'm not sure that the way into the village is going to be, or into the compound is going to be very, very easy. But the French have command control problems even in there. So the commander who was commanding the garrison was killed very, very early on. And therefore the only officer there, or the only big man in sharp practice terms, is the sergeant controlling the gun. And he's only a level 1 commander. So this could go very, very easily either way. To make the French challenge even more difficult, their force morale is down to 3 from initial, I think it was 9 initially, whereas the British one is still at 11. So when it hits 3, their forces have, well, either surrender or just rout. And that will be it. So I guess then we need to pull some cards and restart the turn. So as I say, I've lost track of which turn it is, so apologies. We'll just keep going. Oh, first out the bag for the first time is hunting for the glory is Major Blunt. So he is a level 3 commander. What to do with him? I think he will, first of all, use one of his commands to take the shock from Sergeant Little, because he's within 9 inches of him, so that is fine. He will then move himself forward. Well, I guess he and Sergeant Little should start making a play for the wagon. There's no way they can do it in one go, but if they can get a goodly way forward. So let's see where two dice get them. 7 inches. 7 inches with 2. gets them to there. Do they take another one? Or do they try and fire? They could try and fire at the so even if they get a 6, they're not going to get very far. You know what? I'm going to move them again. I'm going to move them again, see how far. So they're going to use all 3 movement dice. Oh, just another 2. That's all they get. But they're moving. You never know in the game. The cards can be quite fickle and can mean that the turn could be over, and then maybe that makes all the difference for them to get there. So that was his second activation. Third activation, does he order Sergeant Little to run for the... I'll tell you what, I'm going to hold off with Sergeant Little. I'm going to take a chance. No, that's a daft thing to do. No, he's going to order Sergeant Little to also head towards the wagon. Let's see what he can do with 2 dice. Oh, look at this, 12! Sergeant Little! And he is there. My goodness me. Takes one more move. 3 inches. So that will virtually block the road from the wagons. Good old Sergeant Little, eh? Wow. So you can see he is right in the face of the wagoneers. Absolutely perfect. Great. So that's quite a good turn so far for the British, with the first time Major Blunt's had his card come out, and it's had quite an impact. Blue leader 6. That is the gun crew. So that's the sergeant in command of the gun crew. So does he... Ooh, I tell you what he is going to do, because I'd like to get the gun moving, but really it's too slow. So what he is going to do, sorry, it's a bit shady again, a bit shiny again. He is going to order the group of foot that are in front of him to move. He's going to get them to move 2 dice towards the main gates. They throw a 7. A 7. So I guess they take... Ooh, do they... I've forgotten in Sharp whether they cost you to turn round. I think they do. So, because they're a formed group, so they'll only move... We'll take the 3 away and they'll move 4 inches to there. So it's going to be tight. So it's going to be very, very tight. Next card out is red 5. Red 5 is Sergeant Little. He's already operated, so he can't do again. Bit of a shame, but there you go. This is blue 2, which is the sergeant with this this line here. He'll take one of the shocks off the French. Red 3. Where's all the flags gone all of a sudden? Red 3 is Captain Roy over there. So he will reload. Will he present? Do you know what? And he will present again. So he is presented arms, ready for whatever comes. Those guys in those buildings are probably a little bit nervous, given the fact it's all gone a bit... Wow. And there's Tiffin. So the turn is over. I think the Brits definitely got the odds on that one. Definitely did. So the next turn. Turn something or other. We'll give them a shuffle. Right. What's going to happen? First out the pack. Blue 4. So that was the officer, the Voltigeur officer who was killed. So there is a chance that they can replace him, because I think that's the second time his card has come out. So this could, I keep saying things could be crucial, and they could. Let me just see what the odds are, because those are Voltigeurs that he commanded. So I know to replace an officer, so light infantry skirmishers are still 5s and 6s. So it's a 5 or a 6 to replace that officer. They do replace him. Okay. Oh, things are turning a bit. So we'll take one of the musketeers, or one of the musketeers, one of the light infantry out and replace the officer. And that is him ready. So that's it's another twist. Another twist. So now they have an officer. Now I think the officer is only so he is one tier lower than the officer who replaces. So that's a level 1 officer in there now. French 5. French 5 is the Voltigeurs here in the wood. However, that's a level 0 officer, so there's no cards, so he can't do anything. Wasted that card as well. Jeez. And add insult to injury, there's the flag. Red 2 is the British rifleman under under Sergeant McGuinness. They will reload, and then they will run this direction, I think. A 4. Trying to keep away from a foot. So they're outside of a volley range for there. So they're outside of effective volley range, sorry. And they will start to head this distance this way. There we go. That's that. He's a level 1 commander, so that's all he can do. Oops. He's a level 1 commander, so that's all he can do. Next card out is red 6. Blue 6. So that is the sergeant in charge of the gun again. So I guess the thing he's got to carry on. Oh, now what he could do, he's going to bolster himself to take the flag to make him a level 2 commander. That's probably the sensible thing to do. Let's move in here so we can actually see what's going on, hopefully. Oops. There we go. Right, you can hopefully see what's going on now. So he's now a level 2 commander. He will, these are routed guys, so we'll just move these out of the way for the minute. He's going to order the French line to move 1 dice towards the gate. Oh, just a lousy 2. So get to there. And I guess they're going to have to move another one to get right up to the gate. Oh, they threw another 2, so 2 2s. So they're right up against the gate, so next time they can open it. So that was his first activation. Second activation, he's going to roll his cannon towards that doorway. Throws double 3. So 3 inches. Still not quite there yet, but getting there. He's about 2.5 inches away from the doorway, which I think should make that pretty secure for the French. So that is blue leader 6 finished. Blue leader 1. All the blues again this time. So that is Major Pierre here, a level 3 commander. Now, is he in command of? Is he in range? No, he's not quite in range of the wagons. Else he could have ordered them to go straight in the gate. What to do? He, I think, is going to do. Well, he's got 3 activations. First activation, he's going to remove one of the shocks. Second one, he's going to order this formation to turn there. And then they'll fire, I think. I think that's the best thing to do. They fire at Major Blunt. It is actually effective range, but they have fired already, and they are skirmishers that are firing at, and they're in cover. So let's see what they can do. Effective range is a 5 or a 6. There's a lot of firing. So strictly speaking, in sharp practice, you fire in a cone. But for me, my house rule, it's my house, so I'm doing it this way, is that I would allow this group to fire that way, because it makes no sense that they just blast at a blank wall. They would aim that direction. So as long as it's a reasonable, sensible thing, I allow a little bit of leeway with the cone. So it does mean that Blunt's going to take a lot more fire, but hey, he was late to the battle. So that's 8, 15 figures plus the lordship himself. So that's 18 shots. 2, 4, 6. Hitting on a, what did I say it was? 5 or a 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How do I do that? 6 hits. That's slightly over the odds, I would suggest. All 5s as well, not a single 6 there. Hitting those guys, it's 5s and 6s for an effect. Oh, they've killed 3. 1, 2, 3. Wow. 3 of the riflemen are killed. Is it Blunt himself? A 1 or a 2 would be. I've just killed one of my riflemen down here. It was a 5. So it isn't Blunt, but 3 of his compatriots. 1, 2, and 3. Bite the dust. And no shock. Wow, that was... I was not expecting that. Okay. And we'll put the smoke down because they are unloaded. They certainly unloaded on Blunt. Wow, half his figures down in one go. And it's continuing to be all the blues. That is blue 2, which is the sergeant. So he will take one of the shocks off there. And it's Tiffin. That is it. So last turn it was all British. This time it's all French. Wow, it's almost like I'm making up. And I'm not. That's just what came out. I'm just going to check the flags are in here. Yeah, look, they're all there. They're all at the bottom, that's why. Right, new turn. Shuffle the pack. Good and proper. Right, back off again. Red flag. Blue 4. Blue 4 is... Oh, it's the replacement replacement Voltigeur commander in the buildings. So, that's interesting. So he will... So he can't really fire this direction because there's no windows, there's a balcony. So what I'll do is reload with 1. Does he keep putting the pain on Blunt? Or does he move? I'll tell you what, we've got to think about the mission here, right? So he is going to order the 2 figures out here on the balcony. I'll move the camera around, you can see then. So we've got to think about the mission. There's 6 Voltigeurs, sorry, actually 5 Voltigeurs, because one of them's now the officer in this building. He's going to order 2 of them out on the balcony to fire down on Sergeant Little. So it's just 2 shots. What's the range? It's close range. So 4 to 6 to hit. Oh, and they miss. Both of them miss. And they are unloaded again. Ah, that was, for a minute there, I thought that was going to be curtains for Sergeant Little. All right, onwards. We have a French flag. French leader 3. French leader 3 is, so that is Sergeant. Well, that's the dead Captain Chateau, who was controlling the line infantry in the buildings. So that's the second time his card has come out. Actually, it's about the third time. So we're going to see whether one of his men steps forward to take over. No, still refuses. So that is that. Red leader 4. That is the that is our friends, the Portuguese Cavalry. They are with a level 0 commander because he was wounded earlier on. So they're going to burn the flag. Let's keep those on that side and that side. Right. It's going to burn the flag so that he has a level 1 commander. They're at the walk, well, the standstill now because they went into melee. I think the thing they need to do is get moving, so they're going to try and head that direction. So they're at the walk now because of the melee, so they're going to accelerate to the canter and they're going to head that way. So it's 2d6 plus 6 effectively. Oh, 11. But they're going to lose 1 because they've got 2 shock. So 11 goes down to a 10 plus 6 is 16 inches. Which gets them all the way to there. There we go. So next card out the pack is blue 5. So that, unfortunately for the dragoons, is Spanish dragoons, is these guys here. Now the French have got a flag, so they're going to burn that, and I think they're going to have to put a volley or some shots into the back of the cavalry, which is not going to be pleasant for the cavalry, I don't think. So these guys will do 1 dice of movement, moving this way. Oh, a 1. That's not very far. And then they will reload and they will fire. It's close range. They've only got 4 plus the officer, 5 dice. They will be hitting on a 4. Don't get a +1 for skirmishing as far as, because they only get that long range. So 4s to hit. They've hit the lot. Every single one hits. These cavalry are in real trouble because it's double shock for being shot in the rear. Yeah. So 2 misses. So 3 hits, which is 3 shock, double to 6 shock. So 6 shock on the horses. So that goes to 8, which is double what they have. So they break. They break from the fire. So they run 2d6 plus 6. Ooh, 11. So 17 inches. Now it says away from the people who gave them shock, so I guess they're going to go that way. So they're probably to jump, so they're about there. So ironically, they charge closer to the wagons, but they're not in any kind of control. Oh, it was the wrong way around. So that was pretty vicious from the Voltigeurs. They got their revenge on the cavalry then in the end. So that's that. Next card, I guess. Okay, so that is a bad thing happening. So, oops, I didn't even see which dice that was. A 3. A 3. So group breaks on a 3 is 1 force morale. So that's 1 off the Brits. So the old Portuguese cavalry were slow to come on. Were not particularly devastating in the charge, and then got a volley from the Voltigeurs to see them on their way. Next card out, red flag. Red leader 1. Major Blunt. Major Blunt. What to do with Major Blunt? So as we know, he's a level 3 commander. I think the obvious thing for him to do is to move towards the cart. If nothing else, it means he can order Sergeant Little to take command of the cart and try and get it away. So he's going to move two dice, which is 6 inches. Gets into there. And himself there. Hasn't cleared this lot, which is a little bit concerning. Should I move another one? I think he's just going to fire back. Now, if I was playing really gamey here, not that I ever do gamey, I would fire at the broken Voltigeurs that are here, because that would force them to run again, which would probably break the French morale. But I'm not going to do that because that's gamey. So what I'm going to do is have the 3 of them fire there's really very little point at firing at these guys, so they're going to fire at the skirmishers on the balcony instead. See if they can do some damage there. It is close range, which is a 4 to 6. Yeah, I think that's what they do. So that's 6 shots. It's 4 to 6, goes down to 3 because they're light infantry. There's 3 men left, plus Blunt himself, because 6 dice, needing 3s. They still managed to miss with 2, so hit with 4. They are in cover, hard cover at that. It's just 1 shock, that's all it is. After all that, excuse me sneezing, but that does mean that that unit now has 2 shock on it, which will lessen their effectiveness if nothing else. But it is 2 puffs of smoke for Blunt. But now he's within command radius of Captain. I promoted him already, of Sergeant Roy. So he will command Sergeant Roy's unit to move 1 dice, which gets him to there, and take control of the wagon train. And then of course I haven't worked out how I'm going to order this to happen. So he's got the wagon, but now he's got to get it off. So I think what he's going to do, it'll take him an action to take control, and then might as well move him that way towards where Blunt is. Yeah, we'll do that. Head him towards Blunt. So they're going to roll 2 dice. Actually, no, he can't do that. So, no, tell a lie. Scrap all that bit, Dom. So, he takes, with the extra action, he takes control of the wagon. So the wagon now is under his control. He's still got one action left. So they might as well fire up at the guys on the balcony too. So it's only 2 shots, but they are in close range. So that is a 4 to hit, goes down to a 3. Hit with both. And they killed somebody. Of course they did. It's Corporal Little, Sergeant Little even. Is it the new officer? No, it isn't. But a man is down. So one of those Frenchies bites the dust, and that is all that Major Blunt can do, because he's got nobody else in command radius to use his 3rd command on. That is a British flag. I'm debating whether to... No, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. Blue 2 is the sergeant with the... I moved it too far. No, it's the sergeant down here, so he will remove this shock. That is the sergeant in control of the French gun. Now then. Not politically correct to use that. So, what to do with these fellas? So the gun, this is the sergeant in control of the gun. They haven't got a flag, so he can't bolster himself. So I think he's going to complete the movement up to the gate. He certainly does that. And now the cannon is sitting at the gate, ready to cause some mayhem. Of course, the gate will have to be opened first, but I don't fancy Captain Roy's chances against that. Okay, next card is red 5. Red 5 is... Which one's red 5? Good question, Dom. So red 5 is Sergeant Little, but obviously his unit has already acted because of using Major Sharp's, Major Blunt's thing. Card a British flag. So that gives them 3. So I think they're going to take the opportunity to activate Sergeant Patrick here. Sergeant McGuinness, sorry. And they are going to advance 1 dice. Brings them to there. Actually, they're going to drop down behind that. There's a hill here, so they're going to drop down here, so they're no longer visible, or can no longer be hit by the Voltigeurs. And then they are going to fire into the French line, into their flank. So we've got 5 riflemen and Sergeant McGuinness himself. They're firing at close range, which is a 4 to hit, down to a 3. Still managed to miss twice, but that is 4 hits. So that'll be 2 on this unit and 2 on this unit. Wow. Okay, so there's a dead and a miss, and a dead and a shock. So the dead, see if it's the sergeant. Nope, it isn't. So it's just one of those guys bites the dust. And over here, is it Pierre? No, it isn't. There's another man of his formation down, and because they were hitting the flank or rear, it's double shock, so that 1 goes up to 2. And the rifleman can partially reload. So that is them, and they've burnt their flags. Blue flag next. It's the only one they've got, so there's nothing they can do with that. It's Tiffin. There we go, it's Tiffin. So that's turnover. We shall reshuffle and see what happens next. So, Sergeant Little has control of the wagon. The French force morale is still wavering at 3. They've got forces to try and take the wagon back, but yeah, who knows what could go on here. This still is on a knife edge. Can Sergeant Little carry off the wagon? Can Major Blunt manage to find his arse from his elbow? And will the Portuguese cavalry stop until they get to Lisbon? All shall be revealed. Next out. Ha! Tiffin straight out the back. So, Tiffin, when it comes up first in a sharp game, is called End of Chapter. And when that happens, wonderful things to behold happen. So, any unloaded groups or formations automatically reload. That's the first thing that happens. Any troops who require ammunition are fine. Any leaders who require water, they're fine. Any troops with broken troops with double their number or more of shock are removed from the table, and the leaders attached to them will also rout from the table, taking a force morale. So basically, the dragoons, the Portuguese cavalry are done. They come off the table. The Voltigeurs here are done. They come off the table. Oh, going on the cavalry. And the other Voltigeurs that are in here are done. Not Voltigeurs, they're the militia. So they come off as well. Okay, that clears a lot of debris. Any buildings on fire, blah. Any test for replacement leaders, blah. Oh, we should have done a break test on the dragoon, on the Portuguese leader, because he routed, didn't he? So 3. I think that's going to be 1. Yeah, 1 off. So I forgot to do that, sorry. Test for replacement leaders. Well, we've already tested for them, haven't we? I think all the leaders have come back. Ah, no, we can do a test for the French Line Infantry there. No, still doesn't come back. Any leaders who were knocked out now recover, and any deployment. Right, no. So basically, the only effect there is the troops all reload and the dispersion of the routed troops. That means the Portuguese cavalry can't be rallied, even though they were only just on a rout. But such is the cards. So that's the end of that turn. Quick one. So onwards. First out. Peking duck, red flag. Blue flag. Blue leader 1. Blue leader 1. What to do with him? So, I think he's going to have to ignore this group behind him, and he's going to have to try and turn and fire it. If he can turn a little bit, he can get a shot on both Sergeant Little and Major Blunt. So he's going to move 1 dice, which is 3 inches, which is enough. Gets him to about there, even losing 1 for the movement. In fact, he could take that off because He's got enough command ability to do that. And now he is going to fire at both those groups and see whether he can see off these pesky skirmishers. So they're both in effective range, or close range, sorry, I should say. So they're both hitting on 4s. So we've got 7 and 6, so it's 13, and himself 16 dice. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. This could be nasty. Hitting on a 4. It's not a bad volley, that, by the look of it. 2, 4, 6, 8 hits. 8 hits. So 50%. Well, I suppose that's the odds, 50-50. So we're going to put 4 on each. So 4 on Major Blunt. Kills another man and 3 shock. Can't be the officer because it's a line unit firing. 3 shock, and on our hero, Sergeant Little. So he gets 2 shock, but no deaths. So they're teetering. So Blunt is on exactly the same amount of figures as shock, and Sergeant Little is 1 under. The French are unloaded. In fact, they could use the other. He could use the other command to take the remaining shock off, because it's got nothing to do with the third one. We have a red flag. Another red flag. So that's 3 flags. So I could activate a unit. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do we are going to, because we need to clear those, we need to take the overwatch away from here. So I'm going to use 2 flags, and I'm going to activate Captain Roy, who didn't do anything last turn, but he is presenting, and he's going to fire at the buildings, and he's going to give them what for. So we've got 8, 16, 23. He won't fire himself. Oh no, he can, because that's, oh no, that's, no, just 23 shots. Just 23 shots. 2, 4, 6, 10, 12, 13. I'll do 13 first and then 10 afterwards. They're firing at up to 12 inches, which is effective range for a musket. No, it's close range, which is a 4 down to a 3 because they presented. That's pretty good. With the first 13, we only missed with 3, so that's 10 hits. Just sheer weight of volume of fire is just doing this here. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 with the next 10. They're all misses. So we got 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 hits. 17 hits. I guess they have to be shared by the gun crew now, because the gun crew, well, no, actually hasn't opened the door yet, so I suppose it has to go all against the Voltigeurs in the building. Yeah, I think that's all I can do. So, oh my goodness me, that's 2, 4 dead and 1 shock. 4 dead and 1 shock, which is brutal. So that is pretty much. Oh, well, let's see if it's the commander. Of course it is. and a 6 means he's not back down to a 0 again. So they get a shock, and it was, how many did I say? 4, wasn't it? 4 dead. Well, 3 now because of the one's the officer. 1, whoops, 2, 3, and so I can't believe this has happened, but that means that unit has 1 man and the commander left, and they have 3 shock. So that is 1 over, so that means they need to retire, and they retire 6 inches. No, they don't. I think they go 1 per, isn't it? I need to look it up. Anyway, they have retired. Captain Roy manages to reload because he just shot. That was all he did. Okay, so what it means is for every 1 over their shock in excess of figures, they move 2 inches. So they have 1 over, so they move 2 inches. So basically, jump out. They pull back out the building. However, it is a bad thing that's happened to the French. Clear all the debris of dice. That was a really good sharp practice volley. They rolled a 2. I don't know if that's going to do anything. Let's just check. Group obliged to withdraw with a 2 has no effect, which is lucky for the French. So that was a sharp practice volley. And there is, next out is Major Blunt himself. Level 3 commander, as we know. So he needs to get some shock off his own force, plus he needs to get the wagon moving. What to do? Okay, so I've been thinking about what to do here. I think he will. First thing he'll do is going to take one of the shock off Sergeant Little, because I think he needs to. Doesn't want anything to slow the cart down. No, that doesn't make sense because the cart's now under control of the Brits. So he will actually order the cart to move. How about that? This is within command radius, so it's going to start moving. It goes a total of 8. It will lose. I said when it comes off the road it slows down, so it will only move 5 inches. But it's on the way. It is on the way. Just move Sergeant Little out the way for the moment. So they've just swept forward, taking control. There we go. That's close enough. Right, so that was his first activation. Second activation will be himself, because he's selfish like that. He is going to roll, he's going to use 2 to get rid of 2 of his shock, because I don't want him routing off the table, despite the fact he hasn't been an awful lot used to anybody. He's going to head back towards the cover, rolls a 6, which is rather nice, gets him back to there, onto there. And then they will fire at the French here. We'll try and pick off some officers again, shall we? So we've got 2 men and 3 for Major Blunt. So he's hitting on a 4 down to a 3. Still manages to miss with 2. So it's 3 hits. He's going to put 2 on the Major. Just 1 shock and another shock on the other side. So not the most devastating volley we've ever seen from Sharp, but that is what it is. and he's got, so he's moved, so he's got 1 reload. Okay, that's that lot. Red 5. Oh, a Sergeant Little. Sergeant Little. So, what's he going to do? I think he is going to move. So, he's going to take the card to make himself a level 2. Because he needs to get rid of some shock. So, he's going to get rid of the 1 shock here. He's going to advance to get behind this balustrade here. Can you see this? I'm pointing into nowhere. He's going to try and get behind this balustrade here. Rolls a 5. So he's going to line the balustrade here, protecting the cart. Ugh, can't get them to stand up. Oh well. They're tired. They've done all the carrying. These boys definitely done all the carrying. Alright, we'll stand them there. Because they're just refusing to stand up on the bridge. And then they will fire at the Major here. So it's 4 dice because he's up to a level 2 leader using the card. It's going to be 3s to hit. Oh, only hits with 2. So 1 on the Major's side, nothing, and 1 on the Sergeant's side is a dead. Is it the Sergeant? No. So I'm whittling them down, and then he can reload. Good grief. It's now a red 3. So that is Captain Roy. Sorry. What should we do? So there's nobody at the windows anymore. There's only the cannon waiting to open the door and fire out. So I think we need to get moving. We need to provide some cover for the. So I think we're going to move. Provide cover for the British withdrawing. So he's going to move 2 dice that way. So he rolls a 3 and a 1. So he'll lose the 1 because he's got to climb over all this cover. But he's starting to move again. So we'll like that. There we go. And his other shock will remove the remaining shock on that unit. That's him. Not particularly massive move, but he's still covering the doorway. Should it? Oh, didn't show any of that. Sorry. There we go. So he's just done a slight swing towards things. Next one out is 7, which would be the cart, but it's now under British hands. But it's already moved, so nothing happening there. French 2 is the sergeant in control of this group here. He'll take a shock off there. Then it is so now it's blue 3, which is the Voltigeurs that were forced to retire last turn. So that's a level 1 commander. I think he will take the flag to make himself a level 2. And then he will take 1 of the shock off. No, take both the shock off. I think that's all he'll do. So at least he's viable again. A red flag. And red 2. Now red 2 is Sergeant McGuinness, who is here behind the French line. So you know what he's going to do? He's going to give it some welly, hopefully. So firing into the flank. It's within the foot. So he's got 2, 4, 6, 7. He's going to use the flag to bolster himself up to another leader. Another level leader, so we get 2, 4, 6, 8. So 2, 4, 6, 7 dice, sorry. Can't count. He will be hitting on 3s. So it's just 1 miss, the rest hits. So it's 6 hits in total. We'll put 3 and 3. 3 on the major side of the line. That's 2 shock, double to 4, because they're being hit in the rear. And the other side, on the sergeant side, is a dead and 1 shock, which is double 2. Is it the sergeant? No, it is not. So we'll just take that guy off there, and they will partially reload. The next card, tiffin. Right. So having last turn it sort of swung, the card swung towards the French. This time I think it definitely swung towards the British. And they have firm control of the cart. French could have done. Oh, hang on. The French got. French got a flag left. Sorry. Hold your horses, Dom. Hold your horses. The British haven't. So what should we do? I think pretty much the only thing that hasn't activated is that group there, or that group, or the cannon. And as much as I'm tempted to whip open the gate and fire the cannon, I think the strategic thing would be to for these guys to activate this group. They will open the gates, which will take 1 action. Now then, what to do? They need to take control of the... So they're going to move out. They only rolled a 3. Which just almost gets them to the cart. So can the French wrestle control of the wagons at the very last minute? I don't know. That is turnover. So we'll just shuffle the cards and see what happens. French is still teetering. British have the cart, but can they carry it off? It's going to be difficult. It's difficult to know. I thought this was almost over. It's not quite. Not quite. Okay, so onwards. Let's see what goes on. First card out the pack. Oh, this could be curtains to the French here now. This is... Sergeant Patrick McGuinness with his riflemen, who are on the flank of this French line. He is a level 1 commander, so he just needs to activate these boys. They will reload, finish their reload because they had still 1 left, and they will fire. They're not allowed to aim, but they don't really need to because they're around the flank and rear. So it's 2, 4, 6 dice. For 6 dice, they'll be hitting on it's close range for a rifle, which is a 4, and light infantry firing makes it 3. Still managed to miss with 2. Wow. So 4 hits, 2 on the sergeant side, a dead and a shock, and on the major side is 2 shock. Right. Let's do the shock. Well, the shock is doubled, so the sergeant gets 2, and the major side gets 4. The shock just starts to mount if you start taking fires in the rear and the sides. So the sergeant side suffers a death. Is it the sergeant himself? No, it is not. So we'll just remove another dude from there. So they're now on 5 shock, with 4 men plus the officer to bang on what they need. So 1 more shock and they're going to start pulling back. These guys are 2, 4, 6, 8 shock with 6 men and an officer left. So they will have to retire. Just check the distance. So they have to retire 2 inches with the for the excess, so they've got 6, 7, so 1 inch, so basically 2 inches They will retire this way, away from the threat. Now I believe these guys can go with them, so they can keep connected. But that is a dreaded bad thing that's happened. So, the group obliged to withdraw. 3, luckily, has no effect. So they're okay for the moment. It could have been curtains. British can partially reload, so they reload to 1. Okay. French leader 3. French leader 3 is the commander of the Voltigeurs, who is a level 0 commander, so there is nothing he can do, sadly. A red flag. French 6. Now French 6 is our friend commanding the cannon. So does he just try and go vindictive? I think he does. I think he has to. I think this game is going south, and if he can put some pressure on that British line, he's going to do it. So he is going to move it closer. You can see what's going on. Oh, there we go. So he is going to open the door with one action, and he's going to fire the cannon out. It is close range, 8 inches away. So there's a light cannon. After all this, it'll do absolutely nothing, you wait. A light cannon has 10 dice. Effective range is a 5 or a 6. And he does get a first fire, so that is a 4, 5 or a 6 with 10 dice. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh, and he's also firing canister, isn't he? So because well, no, he should have loaded with cannon. I'm going to say that he hasn't at the moment got canister. He can reload with that, because it wouldn't be logical they would be loaded with canister. Wouldn't be logical they're loaded at all. So 4s to hit. Oh, after all that was a dreadful roll. They're obviously, the powder was well and truly dry. Look at wet. Look at that. That was terrible. 10 dice, and we got 2 hits. That's all. Good grief. What a damp squib, literally. So I guess we'll put 1 on the middle and 1 on the left hand side. So the middle actually kills somebody, and no effect on the other side. Now it's artillery firing, not skirmishers, so it can't be Captain Roy. But it is a man under his command. He's taken out. Now the cannon has to double load. So we'll put 2 bunches of smoke out for the cannon. Well, that was pretty pathetic. I think that just shows the spirit might have gone from the French here. They might not be up for this one anymore. Well, let's just see. A red flag. So, do we add insult to injury by firing Captain Roy straight back at that cannon and getting his revenge? I'm inclined to do it just because the morale factor. Only firing at the gun crew. Yeah, so that's going to be devastating. It's got to be done. Going to open up. Sun's come out. Look at that. Going to open up, fire a volley straight into the gateway there. So it's going to be 8, 16, 24 minus 2 figures is 22 dice. They are firing at effective range. No, tell a lie. Close range, which is a 4 to 6 to hit. So 22 dice, needing a 4. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. I've rolled 2 lots of 11. So that's 1, 2. Well, Roy wasn't much better. Only got 3 out of the first 11. Should be 50-50. Neither side's really wanting to do much here. Maybe it's sort of a Christmas truce or something. The other 11, still not a huge amount better. Well, I don't know, adds up. So they've got in total 3, 6, 9 hits. Now the gun crew are in heavy cover, so 5s and 6s is required. My lord, what they made up for in hits, what they didn't get in hits, they made up for well and truly in actual kills. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kills. That gun crew is completely wiped out in one devastating volley. Wow. Yeah, the whole lot just killed. There's only 5 crew and 1 officer. The officer's automatically impacted by that, but they're all dead. So gee whiz, that was some volley. So we'll put down the smoke. Not that it really matters, because that fortification, that compound, is now almost completely exposed. So that is without doubt a bad thing. In fact, it's 2 bad things, because the officer is killed, or the sergeant is killed, and a group has been wiped out. So let us see what happens. So officer, first of all, for a level 1 officer killed, a 4 is -1, so that brings the morale down to 2. Group wiped out, a 4 again is actually -2, so their force morale goes to 0, which means the French force morale has broken with one devastating volley from our friend Captain Roy using the Sharp Practice dice. And that kind of means the game is over. The French are in all kinds of trouble now. Even if we played on, they've got the Voltigeurs are down to 1 man and an officer with 0 ranking. We've got this group here that still hasn't actually fired. The French group that couldn't do anything because its officer was taken out very early on, still got its first fire marker, hasn't done a sausage. The French major down here is being whittled away by the flanking rifle fire from Sergeant McGuinness, and the other group of Voltigeurs down here is sort of stuck in the woods because, again, the commander was wounded very, very early on. And that's it for the French. They haven't got anything left. British, however, pretty much still intact. You've got Captain Roy over there with his British light infantry line, which is not done. It's done enough. It's done exactly what you guys asked me to do with them, which was to sort of demonstrate and push on to the compound. They haven't really pushed on, but they've certainly been devastating with the volleys they've been firing. Major Blunt was very slow, but he was crucial because him being a level 3 meant that he could order himself and Captain and Sergeant Little to grab the convoy just before it got into the compound and gave and safety, and kind of the mission would have been over, but just so happened they didn't. So I think Sergeant McGuinness had a cracking game as well. Coming over the river and flanking made a big difference, and actually he was the one that wounded the French Voltigeur officer here, which meant they were no longer as big a threat as they should have been, although they did manage to finish off the Portuguese cavalry. Meanwhile, of course, Sergeant Little down here, he is definitely MVP. He had an absolute barnstorming game. Was the first British force out onto the table, pushed forward, skirmishing with the building defenders, skirmishing with double the number of French Voltigeurs that came his way, charged and destroyed one group at quite high cost to his own men, skirted round the buildings, grabbed the carts, started to march them off, meanwhile providing a rear guard at the bridge here, firing over at the French major, and really he definitely gets MVP. So promotion for Sergeant Little, I think, in the next battle. We'll have to push him up maybe to a lieutenant. Lieutenant Little, that has a nice ring to it. Promoted and mentioned in dispatches. So there you go. That is the game. Game is over. It's taken... I'm sorry, I've lost count of all the turns. I was marking it, but I think I got so excited at one point I completely forgot to move the marker on. I'm not entirely sure how many we played. Probably around about 15, 20 maybe. Maybe not as many as 20, 15 maybe. But it was certainly great fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I hope you did too. Certainly the comments in the comment section have been brilliant, so I appreciate people have thrown themselves into it. Some of the commands and what have you guys have come up with have been very, very detailed, so I thank you for that, and thank you for your participation. Let me know in the comments down below what could go better, what you'd like to see next time. I'm inclined to do another sharp practice game. I'm inclined to do maybe do some sort of follow-up battle for this one, but also maybe have some kind of poll for support factors, because in sharp practice you can get supports, extra things you can buy to go along with your force. So maybe I'll do a poll how to spend that. I don't know how complicated that would be. Anyway, whatever. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and share it with your friends. Anybody you think might be entertained. Hopefully they will be as well. And as I say, let me know in the comments down below what you think might need, we could do to improve it, and what sort of game you'd like to see next. I'm sort of leaning towards a sharp practice because it works very well as a single player game, but I guess we could equally do a black powder, something like that, even shakos and bayonets or muskets and tomahawks type game. Anyway, let me know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and I will see you again soon. This is Dom, signing out.